Hey, we got everybody. We got Tradmon with us tonight. We're hanging out. It should have been a podcast. Episode 161. There's so much stuff to talk about. While we're at it, the reason we're late is because SpaceX was doing a launch with their Starship. And the problem is with that, it's not necessarily that people don't want other content, but it just consumes so much of the internet. Like I went over to YouTube, Fox News, CNN, C-SPAN were all live streaming it on their YouTube channels. A lot of them had it on their cable news channels. Obviously, X, the SpaceX channel on X, had millions of viewers. And
Yep.
like I just looked at it and I was like, there's no way to possibly compete with that. Even if you wanted to do something else, you wouldn't have been able to even find us at all. We would have just been tiny little specks
Somewhere.
on the internet,
Somewhere out in space.
right? Well, it's amazing that those because normal SpaceX launches, a Falcon 9 or a Falcon Super Heavy or Falcon Heavy, they call it now. They're so
Hmm.
routine that like almost nobody watches them, right? Like every day or two, they're launching rockets. But this specific, Starship, I looked at it, I was like, I even scrolled through on my Amazon Fire Stick, was scrolling through the free channels, and it was SpaceX.
Everywhere.
So I
Yeah,
was like,
everywhere.
man, we're not. No, nobody will see this ever. So that
well,
that's
I mean,
why
I
the
mean,
delay.
part of it was also, I believe, today's launch was supposed to, before it got scrubbed. Today's launch was supposed to be the test launch of their like their big big mamma jamma
Brand
rocket
new.
that's supposed to be the brand new one that's supposed to be used for doing. I believe their current plan is to do a flyby of Mars. They're gonna do some. Yeah, that's actually one of the things they're talking about right now. I watched some information about it. So they're talking about obviously building on the moon. They're talking about actually building solid infrastructure on the moon. And then once that's built, their next goal is to then do a fly around the moon with a flyby of Mars.
Yeah, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he's been a NASA and SpaceX astronaut. They did a nice little piece with him, about 5 or 7 minutes long.
Mhm.
He's like, "Yeah, I volunteered. I will be one of the first crew members that does the Mars flyby in a vehicle very much just like this. It'll be
Mhm.
version 4, but we're testing version 3 right now."
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Exactly. So that should tell you how far off we are. I mean, that's not very far.
not very far. It isn't. And Elon doesn't think in terms of decades. He thinks in
Yeah.
terms of minutes.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. That's literally what it feels like sometimes.
So,
But I mean, just I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, yeah, no, I don't want to spend a whole because there's going to be everybody else on the internet talking, doing their SpaceX spaces or podcasts right now, and we can.
Mhm.
There's so many other areas we go, but if you had another comment about SpaceX or Elon, absolutely,
Oh
let's
no,
hear
I
it.
was just gonna say that the idea of flying past Mars is just so mind-boggling. Like not necessarily the whole SpaceX thing, but just the idea that we've come so far technologically speaking that we're talking about flying past the moon and doing a loop around Mars.
Right, and the return trip, and my rough guess is that's an 8 month trip. So he's going to
Hmm.
be on a space boat for 8 months. And not that NASA hasn't had experience with this, with like Senator Kelly and his brother
Hmm.
Kelly doing over a year on the space station. And I'm not
Hmm.
going to bitch about their politics. When they were astronauts, a year is a long time in space. And
Oh,
what they found
absolutely.
was that one of the Kelly twins shrank or grew an inch living in low gravity, super low gravity, versus
Hmm.
the brother who was the other test, the
Hmm.
twin who stayed on Earth. And this was, I mean, and this is before really they got massive into politics.
Hmm.
They were sharing really great stuff on Instagram at the time, photos and videos from the space station. Back when Instagram was less. What do I want to call it?
Less of a vanity campaign and
Yes.
more of a, hey, let me share this interesting information with you kind of
Yeah.
place.
So yeah, and the Kellys, I get it. You might love them, you might hate them based on your politics, and I totally understand why. But when they were just spacestronauts and sharing stuff about space and science, they were great
Hmm.
accounts to follow. And growing an inch in 1 year as a what 50-year-old male, 40-year-old male, maybe at the time,
Hmm.
right? That's an issue.
Yeah,
Like the
that's
we're gonna have
significant.
and we're gonna have to deal with that for this trip around Mars. 8, nine
Absolutely.
months, 4 months there, 4 months back.
Hmm.
I mean, because once you run out of propellant, you're just at the
It's
mercy
coasting. Yeah,
of
you're coasting.
and gravity, right? This isn't
Hmm.
Star Trek. We say engage warp 7.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, we do not have any such thing. So,
No, not a chance. All right. I know everyone's already talked about it, but I think you and I have a different opinion of what happened with Thomas Massey because we were also able to look at Indiana. We're also able to
hmm.
look at other states that have primaried, and
Hmm.
all the people who just wanted to go, well, national elections aren't going to affect me, or well, and this was in the national election, but even state
No.
elections, right? They're like, yeah, why should I have to redistrict? Screw you. I don't answer to the president. I'm a state senator in Indiana. And then about 12 of them, 7 of them got fired by their
Yeah.
own voters.
Yep. I think part of it is I think the best way I can explain it is, while yeah, they don't answer to the president, generally the people who voted for them also voted for the president and actually really like the president. So I mean, it's one of those sort of things where
Well,
I'm
what's
sorry,
your
go ahead.
take on all these people that? Because this is where it gets interesting, right? All
Hmm.
obviously these are internet people,
Hmm.
occasionally a person or two on CNN, and the amount of people that watch CNN is so low. I mean, it's
Hmm.
almost Fox News is no better, but it's almost so
Hmm.
low that it's like 1%. Total cable news watching is like 1% of the
Hmm.
entire U.S. population, right? So they have no
Yeah,
importance, no significance, but
of
they feel
course.
like they do, right?
It's that
And
self importance. It's that self importance.
right, right. The first response, well, it was the Jews. It's foreign money, and you go, well, wait, hold on, let's look at this because American Israeli Political Action Committee is a
Hmm.
filed pack in the United States who can only take money from Americans
Yep.
and
Yep.
spend it politically against or for American campaigns.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, well, but Israel funded it because it's
Yeah.
got Israel in the name. And well, but
Yeah.
no, those were Americans. So you're not really mad at Israel. You're mad at American Jews.
Yeah. And that's worse, frankly, because I'm being very, very candid here. Most American Jews that I know of that get involved with voting and stuff are very, very, very hardcore about their beliefs. They either go really hardcore one way or really hardcore the other. So spitting on constituents that have that kind of sway is it's not exactly smart.
No, I don't disagree with you, and I would say, from my study of the last 20 years of American politics, is that a
Mhm.
lot of Jewish people do vote Democrat, but what I've come to understand is the reason they do it's just that, well, just leave me be. So if I
Mhm.
don't talk about politics, if I just hide in the attic, I
Mhm.
don't know. If I hide in
Yeah.
the attic, and you won't put a star on my arm, then, right? And I can
Yeah,
just
and
say I'm voting. Oh, I'm totally voting for Kamala.
honestly, I think part of it is the fear factor because I mean, if I mean we look at the Jewish history in general, their whole history is either fighting or running or both, you know. And so I could understand
All the way back to
their
the Old Testament.
yep, yep, all the way back, all the way back. So I can understand that, but at the same time, I do know that there is starting to show there are starting to be little cracks in the armor, little signs of change happening, which is why I've actually up until recently have started meeting less and less uh, uh, Democrat Jews and actually Jews that might actually have some more conservative leanings, which oh my goodness, such a change. But even still, they're out there, but they're few and far
Well,
between.
but
I
remember
think.
it, the 2016 campaign for MAGA, right? Was the
Mhm.
silent majority, and do you think maybe like that's exactly what Trump was talking about? Was a lot of people are just sick of dealing with leftist antics, and so they don't talk about their political opinion. They'll avoid it and say, "Yeah, did you see the Knicks game?" Or, "Man, the Cubs are
Mhm.
having another terrible year," and just avoid the conversation.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
Trump silent majority.
I Yeah, I know. I actually met quite a few people that fell into that silent majority, and it was funny having conversations with them because many of them did not know where I stood because technically, depending upon the environment I'm in, I can be a bit covert just because I like to know what I'm around type thing. And so I tend to play covert in certain environments, not all. Obviously, if I know who I'm around, I'm out and have no problem with it.
I go
But
through, if you can see this, I go through the day, my average day, looking like
Mhm.
Willie Nelson, a 1970s liberal hippie. Nobody has any clue what my political leanings are, and that's on purpose.
Yeah, no, same here. When I go out, I sometimes I'll have my little 50s heels on or I have my, my rockabilly shirt or some sort of, kind of niche looking sort of thing that might lean a little bit right. And then on top of it, I'm wearing a hoodie that says, Kuromi and My Melody and with bright red hair and and little cat ears attached to the hoodie, and it's like, oh yeah, no, you have no clue.
Yeah, no, no. Oh, yeah, she's cool. Man, that's a Marxist. We can totally, just like when they look at me, like, oh, he's one of the hippie communists. He's cool. Let him pass. Let him
But
pass.
no, like I said, I've run into silent majority people, and it's like I said, it's so funny when you run into them and they realize that you are like covertly signaling to them, hey, it's okay, it's okay to think that. Like, great example. I have a friend of mine. I won't say his name out loud because I obviously don't want to oust him. But I was talking with him, and we were talking about like convention spaces and things like that, and all these different things and events and stuff that were coming up. And this was back in the 2016 election. This was just before Trump got elected the first time around. And we're talking, having conversation, and I mentioned to him, "Gee, I really hope that that some of these new taxes that I was at the time I was in California. I said I really hope some of these new taxes don't come through." I said because they're already taxing us to death at this point. And he said, "Yeah, well, he says, hopefully." Hopefully, positive changes come with the next guy. And he said, next guy.
Uh huh.
Yeah. So I was like, and I kind of looked at him, and he looked at me when he were like, his eyes got like huge when he realized he said next guy. Because at the time, everybody was pushing the whole "I'm with her" and blah blah blah. So when he said next guy, he kind of froze for a second, like, "Uh oh, I just slipped my mask a little bit," you know.
Right. Right.
And
And right. That they obviously get nervous. Like, oh no,
Mhm.
am I talking to the enemy? Or is
Yeah, fortunately, I gave him a little kind of wink and nod, not literal wink and nod, but I gave him an audible wink and nod. Of I said to him, "Oh yeah, orange is the new black," and then he goes,
yeah.
"Oh," and he started laughing.
That, that's so funny. 'Cause, well, there's a lot of work, a lot of art you could do out of Orange is the New Black,
Yep,
especially when it
exactly.
comes to the Democrat Party, and you see the way the actual blacks are walking away. they're,
Mm-hmm.
they're doing the
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Herrera walk away,
Absolutely.
right? And they're like, "Look, fuck you! You can't tell me what to do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
If I
And
want to
speaking
vote
of
orange,
Brandon,
I'm going to vote orange. Yeah, go on."
absolutely. And speaking of Brandon Herrera, I mean, have you been seeing the polls going on down there in Texas?
I have. And I've also seen the conservative, what you call establishment right,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
absolutely trying to destroy him.
Oh
And
yeah,
I don't,
absolutely.
I have no idea if that's going to be effective or not. But based
So,
on recent events, I don't know that they have any control over their voter base anymore.
so I'm gonna tell you a couple of things. One, I personally actually had to have a conversation about Brandon Herrera with my dad because my dad, I believe, is in his district.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, yeah, I believe my dad is actually in his district. So I had to sit my dad down, and so my dad was talking about Gonzalez and things like that. And I go, Dad, I hope you're not planning on voting for Gonzalez. And this was back, a couple months ago before Gonzalez dropped out of the race. And I said to my dad, I said, I hope you're not planning on picking Gonzalez. He says, well, I mean, what other direction, do we have to go? He says, I'm not going Democrat. I've never gone
Have you
Democrat.
met the
You know,
AK guy on the internet? The AK
Exactly, and so that was the first thing I said to him. I was like, "Well, Dad, have you ever, have you heard of Brandon Herrera? The AK guy?" And he goes, "The what?" And I go, "He's a YouTuber. Specifically, he's a gun tuber." I said he's a gun craftsman, and I started kind of going a little bit down the rabbit hole a little with him, and he just kind of looked at me kind of funny. He goes, "So a YouTuber is running for Paul?" And I said, "Hey, Dad, we've got a former reality TV star as our president, for goodness sake."
Well, and then before that, a lot of people try to say this about Spencer Pratt. We'll get into this later, but that Spencer Pratt's just a TV star, a reality TV star. And I said, the comment I make is Ronald Reagan was an actor.
Yeah,
Trump
yeah.
was also an actor. They
Hmm.
got elected president. And you're
Hmm.
telling me they have no experience as a politician? I say, what experience do you need?
Yeah, I mean, we've had actors in political positions for years. Like you mentioned, we had Ronald Reagan
Is Zelensky
and
not a comedian?
Yep, Clint Eastwood was a governor at one point, I believe. Was it a governor or mayor or one of the two? A mayor. I believe he was a mayor.
I don't have the answer. I could find the answer, but yes, I believe he held political office.
He did.
Absolutely.
It was, I believe it was, he was a mayor of, it's a small little coastal town. I think it was, oh gosh, what was it? I'm trying to remember. It's pulling from my head right now. Um,
All right, hold
ah,
on.
yeah, it's gonna drive me.
No,
It's gonna
let's
drive.
go ahead and go to Super Grok.
Let's see. Yeah, no, 'cause I'm sorry. I normally have these things like right at the tip of my noggin, but it's like,
Alright, let's see. Hopefully I asked the question the right way. It's thinking Clint Eastwood served as the mayor of Carmel by the Sea, California.
That's what it was. Carmel by the Sea. I knew it was something had to do with the ocean. I knew it was near the ocean, but I didn't remember.
1986. So, and again, you got to remember, California this time was still super Republican because they hadn't been completely invaded by illegals. We could
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
3 hours of explaining how California turned blue, but basically it
Hmm.
was because California welcomed the illegals to change
Yep.
the map. 72% of the vote against the incumbent mayor, Charlotte Townsend. 799 votes versus Eastwood's 2,166 votes. Motivation. I don't care to hear the AI version of the motivation. Just
But
told it.
yeah, no, I mean, so there you go.
Yeah. Lots of people have been actors. Lots of people have done
Mhm.
all that things. And then I ask, you got to ask yourself. I guess these people that pose these questions are probably part of the bureaucracy. I've
Hmm.
absolutely been part of the bureaucracy, so
Hmm. Hmm. Oh
I'm not
yeah, no.
but that they believe that they know better, and so they're like, "There's
Mhm.
no way somebody outside the bureaucracy could be our boss. There's
Oh
no
no, and
way."
don't get me wrong, my dad was part of, the bureaucracy for a little while. I mean, heck, my dad wasn't at one point in time, my dad wasn't Republican, in fact. When my dad was a young man, early on in his life, before me and my brother, became part of his life, before we were even born, my dad was a Dem, because all his family were Democrats. He lived in a part of New York City where, every single election cycle, the Dem candidates would come down to the hood where he lived, and they'd do their photo ops, and then they wouldn't change a damn thing. And that was what he grew up with. And then he joined the military, and he got exposed to the world, and he realized, holy crap, these people are never going to do anything for us. I'm voting red. And that's what happened.
I don't. I get all that, but I also look. I'm looking from. I'm in the hot air balloon. I'm looking at 2026 politics, and I'm
Hmm.
looking at Donald Trump.
Hmm.
And obviously, I know he had to be a populist to win his recent election. I get it,
Oh,
bringing on
oh,
Tulsi, bringing
absolutely.
on Bobby. But when I look at Trump's policies, I know he's not conservative. He's. I'm just going to start calling people Trump Democrats. He's a Democrat, but he's a Trump Democrat who has never swayed
Hmm.
whatsoever from 1990s Democrat policies. So
Hmm.
closed border, you just start going down the list. Closed borders, deportations, like
Hmm.
all of the things that the 1990s Democrats were so involved with pursuing is
Yeah.
Donald Trump. And I get you also have this super huge age gap where people may have known maybe they knew him from TV, or maybe they didn't even know who Donald Trump was before he became a
Hmm.
president.
Oh,
Totally
absolutely.
normal based on age.
Hmm.
Then if you have older people, they're like, "Well, I knew him as the greatest real estate developer New York has ever seen."
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
want that too, and I go, "What? Those are all great, but his policies." And I voted for him 3 times knowing this. Our
Hmm.
1990s Democrat policies, because I knew out of my choices in those 3 elections, my
Hmm.
choice was better to have the Trump Democrat policies than the far left policies of his opponent.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
And yet there
But
was no
yet,
conservative that you could vote for at the time in any
oh
of
no, of course.
those in this 12-year period.
Yeah, no, we haven't had anything like that now. But definitely, our Republican candidates we have coming out now are starting to look, are, like you said, very much like Dems from back in the '90s, back when being a Democrat actually meant something, and it wasn't just put on your
Blue
crazy hat
dogs.
and think
We're
you're a
here.
captain.
We're blue
You know.
dogs. We're America first. We're pro worker. We're anti immigration. We're blue dog Democrats. And I'm calling now. I'm calling that, like, I know a lot of people are like, because the internet just screws people's brains up into mushrooms and eggs and
Hmm.
some onions, maybe a little bit of cilantro, and they can't think straight. And then, so when I say, I want to be very clear when I say a Trump Democrat, I believe the MAGA movement. I'm not talking about the influencers or the TV people. The actual silent majority who votes for Trump vote
Hmm.
for Trump, the Democrat, because it's the last thing we have left compared to the actual left.
Yeah, it's the last example of normal. That's really what it is. It's the last example of normal. And now we're like I was saying, these newer candidates we have coming out are starting to get way out there as far as being very different from what the status quo used to be. I mean, obviously, we have candidates like Brandon Herrera who are and not only a YouTuber but an open and out gunsmith. He does like shooting reenactments and things like that because he likes to explain the science of why bullet trajectories behave the way they do and blah blah blah. I mean, you wouldn't have dare had a candidate like that maybe 10, 12, even 15 years ago. I mean, God forbid. And now that's the status quo.
Well,
It's a little wild.
I'm totally okay with it, and I am totally okay with bringing some conservatism back. And this
Hmm.
leads me back to Thomas Massey,
Hmm.
claiming that he's the only true constitutional conservative, and
Mm.
I don't buy it. Like,
Yeah, no, I
Massey had
agree.
14 years. In his first 4 years, which would be pre-Trump,
Hmm.
I kind of like the dude. I was in Indiana. I was in a border state at the time. I've since moved to another state, but I kind of like the dude. I was like, and then all of a sudden, Trump comes down the golden escalator, and we have
Yep.
obstructionist Massey.
Hmm.
And I'm really glad that he, with all of his morals,
Hmm.
and all of his wanting to be constitutional, that
Hmm.
his employers, the voters in Kentucky 4, decided to show him what a term limit is.
Hmm. I agree with you 100%. I think uh, I think honestly, the fact that he could be that arrogant about it, thinking, essentially thinking, hey, I'm the only. There's so much now to. I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. There are so many other things to consider now, and I think for the most part, people have become, especially with all the changes and a lot of the polarization of politics and everything within the last decade or so. uh, I would say people have become more about voting voting their conscience rather than voting the party. Now, obviously, there are still people out there who generally vote the party, but I know in recent years we've had people that were independents who voted for a Republican. We had Democrats who voted for a Republican. We've had people essentially crossing the lines now. So I think where Massey screwed up, and this is the big thing. I think where Massey screwed up was thinking that he could run in he could be a politician in a polarized political society um, with with 19 probably I'd say 1990s thinking that
Do
he could
you
be yeah.
do you also think that, like, remember, just in the recent days before his loss,
Hmm.
he had all the podcasters come
Hmm.
over to his ranch.
Hmm.
Very nice ranch. By the way, just so everybody is aware, The ranch is half owned by his former in-laws. There's something there. You make of it what you want to make of it. It is not
Mhm.
entirely his ranch. He does live on the property, and the family of Thomas Massey and the in-laws manage the property.
Mhm.
And you can think of that as, well, that makes sense. He's got to go to DC, half the year. All right, yeah, that's fine. But what I said is what I said. You're welcome to make of it what you want. I won't make your decision on that, even though the former in-laws family doesn't have direct ties to him. They
Mhm.
hold direct ties to the farm, the ranch.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely kind of got some squirrely things going on in the head there. Just a little bit. Just a
So
tiny bit.
I'm not gonna get into the. I don't do this stuff. I'm not gonna get into the Laura Loomer stuff, and I don't.
Mm.
I don't. Whether it's true or not true, I'll wait to
Yeah,
find out if it's true. That's fine.
exactly.
And Laura Loomer is very good at finding the truth, but
Yeah,
not every time. So we'll wait for that. But when you look at
absolutely.
the story, and you look at Thomas Massey, to me,
Mhm.
what I see is that he felt he was entitled to a lifetime position in government.
Yeah. Like I said, he was a politician running on 90s thinking in a sort of postmodern like landscape, and that's just you can't run on 90s thinking in a postmodern landscape. You can't do it. It won't fly.
That's going to bring me to this. Let me add this to the stage. Let me set up presentation. Um,
like an empty fire, like your desire, like an empty fire. Stand tall, go higher, and on and on and on and on. And I say,
so Pratt,
Wow.
right, and the zombies.
Pratt and the zombies, man.
Let me bring the screen back.
Oh man.
I'll boot my.
Oh
But Pratt, the zombies. No more zombies. His
yeah. No. Oh my
campaign,
god.
like, what obviously is great, but the coolest
Mhm.
thing is that people who have no, they don't live there. They just
Mhm.
love California. They visit California,
Yeah.
and they're making these great freaking meme art videos. Spencer's also making his own content, which is fantastic. I think
Oh
I
yeah.
have one of his I can bring up, but just this one alone, no more zombies. Vote
Yeah.
Pratt. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I think what he's doing is absolute genius because he's playing on again going back to the whole idea of politicians having 90s thinking versus you know current political landscape thinking. Post I keep saying postmodern because it feels so freaking it feels almost dystopian at sometimes. I'll just be honest, but 90s political thinking of the streamlined crisp perfect ads of the perfect neighborhoods and kissing the babies and do all that doesn't fly anymore. It really doesn't because we've become so numb to that idea. It's just so broken to that idea that the thing that wakes us up and gets our attention really, and it's kind of funny to say it, is internet culture, memes, things that get us to
It is
laugh. It
absolutely.
really is.
Well, I've got another. I don't because I don't know your setup. This
Mm.
this one mostly doesn't. It has audio but no talking.
Hmm.
So if you can see the screen,
I
uh,
do. I see the screen with the palm trees and all
yeah,
that. Yeah, I'm
I'm
looking
gonna
at
go
it right
ahead.
now. Yeah.
Let me go ahead and play that, and I will put that on the big screen for everybody else who's watching live or later.
Mhm.
The Palisades isn't going to come back for a long time. And it's so depressing.
The Palisades feels like it's frozen in time. The film crews are all gone. The headlines have faded off. Nobody cares about the Palisades anymore. Everyone has moved on. The reservoir is empty again. And all the brush has grown back. The mayor has forsaken us.
I've got to pull myself together.
I will never stop fighting for this place. For my mom. For the mother of my kids. Nothing else matters.
So this was not a memer. This was directly from Spencer Pratt.
Mhm.
Really, really, he does some really incredible stuff too. And
Absolutely.
you look at this and you go, how can this guy not win?
Mhm.
Really, come on.
Yeah.
we know how some of these things work, and you
Yeah.
saw everybody. You see all the I don't even know what to call them. All the people that have their feelings hurt on Thomas Massey saying it was rigged. Um, that being said, Spencer Pratt's really put together a campaign that says, look, you, the government, you burnt my house down. You won't let me replace it. You drained
Mhm.
the reservoirs. They're still drained today.
Yeah.
And
I
he goes,
think
I'll
they
fix
they
it.
are. They absolutely are.
And he says, I'll fix it. That's what I'll do as mayor. I will fix that. How do you
Yep.
do it? That's not my problem or your problem or anyone else's problem. Nobody else was going to fix it. Why would you not, if you lived in LA County, vote for Spencer Pratt? Unless you're
Yeah,
just a
exactly.
communist.
Yeah. No, I absolutely get what you're meaning. Um, there was something he said recently, and this was, I think this was an interview he was doing with Adam Carolla, and they were standing. I believe they were standing in front of the trailer that he has, the Gulfstream that's on his land,
Yep.
and he was they were standing there, and he said, "If I win." He said, "I'm going to take the money I get from the park lawsuit because he's currently in a lawsuit over like with everything that happened and everything." But he said, "If I win the park lawsuit, I'm going to take that money from the win. I'm going to rebuild my house, and I'm staying put because I'm going to fight for this place. I'm going
Mhm.
to do everything I can in my power to fight for this place. Because if I don't win, I will take that money from the lawsuit. I will pick my wife and my kids, and we'll pull up stakes, and we'll go else. We'll go somewhere where we can find the American dream somewhere else." And to me, that's pretty damning. That's really, really damning to that someone would openly admit that if you can't fix where I live, like, I mean, he's saying this on not just a small scale, but on a massive public scale. If you can't fix where I live, if you can't fix my city, if I have to constantly worry that my kids are going to see naked zombies, which is one of the things he's pointed out, my kids are going to see naked zombies, or my wife's going to nearly accidentally step on a used needle trying to walk out to her car or whatnot. Or you can't walk down the street without wondering if you stepped in dog feces or human feces.
Yep.
That you're gonna, if you can't fix that, and that can't be fixed, because if you elect the people that were elected before, they're not gonna fix none of that crap, so none of it's gonna get fixed. It might get temporarily cleaned up for a press tour, like what they did in San Fran, where they scrubbed San Fran clean for all the people to come in and do the thing, and then as soon as it was done, that was that.
Well,
But that's
there was a meeting with Xi from China, the leader of
Mhm.
the Communist Party. Of
Yeah.
course, California cleaned the streets. And did you? I don't know if you guys remember, who are watching or will watch later, the videos of that, where it was nothing but hammer and sickle Communist Chinese Party flags lining the street behind fences,
Mhm.
preventing all protest of
Mhm.
actual communism.
Oh, it was just sickening. Sickening. But
So,
no, it's like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, no, but back to Spencer Pratt, I wandered to because what we just talked about. Back to Spencer Pratt, like you look at this and you go, and I think this is where the majority of just common sense Californians are. So like, this place is worth saving, and that's one of his campaign slogans. Right?
Hmm.
This place is worth saving, and I agree. Absolutely agree.
Absolutely.
I've been doing online work, whether it's podcasting or spaces or other places. And I've talked to a lot of people, and they're like, "No, I'm not. I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. It's the most beautiful state. We can argue about that. That's fine, but it's the most beautiful state, and I don't want to leave. And so it's worth saving, and I'm going to stay to try to save it. But then you have, Spencer Pratt, and you have other billionaires, not Spencer Pratt as a billionaire, but you have other billionaires saying, "Look, nope, nope, I, I tried, but we got to
Hmm.
pull our company out." We
Yep.
gotta-
No, and I'll admit this on record. I was part of the residents that fled California. I lived in Southern California for many, many, many years. My father was stationed there because he was with the U.S. Navy, and we lived all over San Diego and Southern California. And it was beautiful, was wonderful. But as time went on, the the beauty and everything just got buried under the rubble of corruption and drugs and misappropriation of funds, and you name it. The beaches were like, eventually the beaches were never clean, so you couldn't actually go swimming in the water without worrying that you're going to get some parasite or bacterial infection or some other sort of horrible thing would happen. It just fell. It really just slowly but surely fell. And keep in mind, I went out to California for the very first time back in the early 90s, back when it still was a gorgeous, beautiful place to be. And I watched it go from what it was back in the 90s to what it became in the early to mid 2000s. And I was just like, no, I can't do it anymore. This
I'm
is
gonna use
heartbreaking. It can't
I'm
stay.
gonna use a word. So Skid Row. And for those of you don't, you've heard the term, you may even know what
Mhm.
it is, but it's in Los Angeles proper.
Yeah. Hmm.
Skid Row is a construct of what socialism is. It's a
Yeah.
construct. That's the word of what socialism is, and you can see that there. Look, there's pretty good. Not that I'm a big fan of any company over another company, but there's a really good documentary about Skid Row on Netflix.
Mhm.
It's probably about 2 hours long. It's well worth watching. And just so you could just see the mind of what these leftist politicians want. It's bread lines. It's people in mass need. It's mass homelessness.
Mhm.
And it's the you don't know one of the Spencer Pratt's videos. I don't know if that was dog poop or human poop on my foot that I
Mhm.
stepped in, and it's everywhere. And this is what like I don't get why when you look at Skid Row
Mhm.
and you go, we need to fund it more. Like what do you think is going to happen if we fund the government more to make Skid Row bigger?
Yeah. It's honestly the idea of California just becoming a mass pot of poverty and drugs and just disgusting filth. Honestly, it makes me so sad. It really does make me so incredibly sad, and it is the most appalling and heartbreaking thought. Like especially when you know what California once was, and it really is so sad. It
Been
really,
there.
really is.
I have family that lives there. I listen. I absolutely love living in the South. For if any of you are foreigners, I live in the Southeast, United States, but that's what we call the South.
Mhm.
But I have family that live in California. I've visited since I was a child. It is beautiful landscape, absolutely beautiful, and it's just been wrecked
Mhm.
by I don't even want to call them democratic policies because they're not. Because I've already explained earlier in the podcast that democratic policies are Trump policies.
Yeah.
They
No.
destroyed by socialist Marxist policy.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely,
and
100%.
I feel for I'm all for the Spencer Pratts that want to save it. I hope they
Mhm.
can. I
I hope
also
so too.
understand why people are bailing. Absolutely, yeah,
Mhm.
I get it.
I mean,
But don't California my state, whatever
yeah,
state.
exactly. Oh, that's the other thing too. Is yeah, the people that escape. If you flee all the BS that is in California right now, if you flee the communist, socialist, Marxist policies of California, don't bring that crap with you to the next place you go. Leave it at the door. Okay,
Well,
don't
it's
bring
a
those policies to
concept problem.
don't bring them to Texas. Don't bring them to Mississippi. Don't bring them
North
anywhere else.
Carolina,
Leave them.
Georgia, Florida, South Carolina. Leave it at the door. And that's been a constant problem for the last 40 years. What? Why?
Mhm.
Well, they fled the state. They left, but
And then brought their politics with them.
they believe those policies are going to help the little people. Or what?
No.
Whatever.
Ugh.
And then they vote for him again.
Exactly. So that it's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yes, we got about 13 minutes left. If I can, I don't have my old man glasses on. I want to get into something even more important than this is a geopolitical. So the indictment of Raul Castro sets up a number of things. Do you want to start?
Mhm. So, um, man, this is yeah, you're right.
I'll be
You're
right
right.
back.
This is yeah,
Take
yeah.
your
No, this
time.
is
I'll
a
be
big
right
thing.
back.
So I'm Puerto Rican by nationality, okay, like by race. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm an American, but I am Puerto Rican by racial origin. And so I understand how deep when it comes to uh, 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 socialism and things like that running in these island populations, which obviously Cuba is one of them. The idea that there is a possible open door, just the smallest inkling of an open door, that something could be changed after all of these years, is it is both a small inkling of hope and also a at the same time it's a skepticism. Like part of my brain wants to go, oh my god, yes, yes, free my brethren from Cuba, please. And then the other part of my brain is going, you know that's not going to happen because it's been that way for freaking ever, and nobody's even given a damn to change it. So what makes the difference now? So I I'm in such a weird place right now when it comes to what's happening in Cuba right now, because I want so badly to hope. I want so badly to hope that some sort of semblance of freedom can come to the people of the island. But at the same time, I know there's just so many other walls and so many other barriers.
Well,
So it's difficult to have that hope.
when you look at it, what Trump has been doing around the world, the morons that were calling it the Don Road Doctrine don't have it quite right, and I can
Mhm.
explain that. It is more Monroe Doctrine, not Donny Doctrine, which
Mhm.
is China and Russia get your shit off our hemisphere, and that's
Mhm.
fine and that's good, and that those things have been happening. But when you look at right the capture of Maduro, uh,
Mhm.
in one night, just one
I
night,
know. I know.
and
It's
you look at
still,
these
yeah.
things, and you look at Trump saying, "Look, no, listen, Cuba's going to be ours soon." And people are like, "Well, what the fuck does that mean? Well, are they going to be a state?" What? Nah, I mean, maybe, but
No.
no, that's not the way
No.
territories work. But
Mm-mm. Yeah.
what Trump really, what people don't get about Trump is Trump cannot understand war, even though
Mhm.
he does it when he has to. He
Mhm.
cannot understand it. So the rules of Trumpism, Trump always wins. The
Mhm.
second rule, right, is a deal can always be made as
Yeah.
long as it adheres to rule one. And where people miss out on all of this and
Mhm.
misread Trump is that Trump always tries to let the other side make a deal,
Yeah.
any deal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will also ask, thirdly, well, what does it mean Trump wins? Well, whatever Trump says is a win is a win. That being
Yeah.
said, that could be Cuba is just an independent nation free of communism. That could mean Venezuela is a nation free and independent communism and not a united state. Either
Yep.
of them, right?
Yeah. Or it could
And
also
you look around the
that's
world, in any of the other places that he enforces power, including Iran, he's like, you
mhm.
look, and a lot of people are misreading this. They're like, why is he
Mhm.
delayed 5 weeks? Why is he delayed 6 weeks now? If anybody's there that can make a deal, that's what he understands.
Yeah.
He does have at his ready a way to make people make a deal, but he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't understand why people would war. Why would you war with the greatest military that's ever existed on the planet Earth? Why? Why won't you just make a deal? That's why Iran is also taking so long to get to
Yeah.
where what we're ultimately going to see is Operation Delete IRGC.
Yeah. No, completely 100%. I ultimately I like the fact that Trump is trying to make a deal, but at the same time, I'm a child that grew up in, you know, I grew up during a time where military combat was a big thing. I was an adolescent when we entered into Iraqi freedom and so all that. Come on, I witnessed 9/11 as a 17-year-old girl. Okay, so I lived in the generation where all we knew was war and military combat and things like that. So to me, I see the point of why we would need to enter militarily in some cases, but I also understand as somebody who's seen the outcome of long wars, I also know the wisdom in being a little bit more cloak and dagger and saying, hey, let's try to make a deal. Let's try to finagle something. Let's try to get something going. So I don't know. I'm in kind of a weird place because I have seen and I've seen so much.
I know. Well, here's another thing to look at is that we're also not trying to show off to the rest of the world all of the cool toys we have, and we have
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
cool toys. And so, like, we showed off some cool toys when we went and just stole Maduro and his wife, right? we
I know, right? Yeah.
and Trump's like, all right. I don't want to give away the whole kit and caboodle of all the toys we have.
Yep. And we also show. Yeah, I mean, and then we also showed off when we were like, oh, hey, by the way, in the middle of the night, we sent a bunch of fighters in and just, yeah, there you go, and that's gone.
And then that gets back to let's go back to I'm not going to argue right or wrong the wars after 9/11. That would totally have to be a totally different podcast. But
Absolutely.
we went in and we're like, hey, we're here with our Cold War technology, and we're going to unload everything we have from the Cold War on you, and then we're just going to rearm ourselves with Cold War technology and not show anything new. And you go, well, that sounds fine, like, right? You're not and Trump's like, no, you guys were idiots. You should have just won. Why didn't you win? You should have never been there. But if you're gonna be there,
win. Yeah.
Win.
Yeah. No, I gotcha.
Right?
Yeah. No. I completely
technology
understand.
that Trump is using, all I'm gonna say is some of that was even available back then, because we're just that far advanced compared to the rest of our enemies.
Oh yeah, we've had bunker busters for forever,
Yeah.
So the fact that we went in there and we just like, okay, here's the tunnel, here's the mine, pooh, gone, no more mine.
Thump, thump.
Exactly, thump, thump, it's gone. Bye bye.
Well, yeah, which ironically, Maverick is making a third Top Gun movie. Hollywood.
Oh man. I'll go see it. I'll go see it. I mean, twist my arm.
Look, I get that he's a really wicked, crazy Scientologist, but Tom Cruise is just really good at these movies. He's really good at them. And the movies don't drift really into politics. It's just an action movie.
Yep.
I think, go ahead. Do number 3.
Oh yeah, and watch our recruitment numbers soar through the sky like they did the last time.
Right.
Because I mean that's what happened as soon as when the second one came out. The number of people joining the Navy, joining the Air Force, recruiters were like, "Oh my gosh, where did all these people come from?"
Yep. And I got to regress to something we were talking about 5 minutes ago. Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
Why have they never been? They've asked, I believe, twice to submit the paper. Why have they never been accepted as a United State?
I'll be very honest with you because I have family who still is in Puerto Rico. For the most part, the government that's in the leadership that are in Puerto Rico may be asking. The people of Puerto Rico themselves, though, don't want it. They really don't want it. And they make it very, very clear in the way they talk about the United States and the way they talk about things related to the United States. They don't want it. The leadership may want it, but the people on the island themselves don't want it, which I think, frankly, is why it hasn't happened.
I
It's
believe. Well,
because,
I also
well,
believe that leadership on the continent, or on the island,
island, yeah.
believes, but believes that obviously just territory funding alone is
Hmm.
enough for them to keep their state of the government functioning,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah, no, and I've,
even after hurricanes, and they get extra funding to rebuild the power infrastructure, things like that.
mhm.
And that being said, then I look at that and I just place it on Cuba and I go, I don't know that Cuba would be much different unless they literally threw out their government and
So
launched
here's the
them into the sea.
so here's the thing. There is a big difference between how Cubans look at America and how Puerto Ricans look at America. There is a big difference. I have Puerto Rican family members that live on the island and stuff, and they don't mind being a territory, but they don't want to become a state. And they make it very, very clear that they don't want to be a state. Not only that, but a lot of socialism and communism and some of those things still, some of those thinkings still exist in Puerto Rico, and they have no problem admitting that. Whereas in Cuba, there are a lot of Cubans that absolutely abhorrently hate what is happening as far as communism and things like that. But they will not say anything because it will cost them their lives. So in their case, it's more of a, if you could get rid of communism, the Cubans will be very, very happy if you could get rid of communism. They just won't admit that.
They actually might make a really good U.S. territory, who in
Hmm.
10 or 15 years
Hmm.
could apply for statehood and might achieve it.
No, yeah, I could
The
totally.
Cuban people in general are uh, uh, fairly conservative by
Oh yeah,
religion.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, have you? I've met so many Cubans over the years that I've been at land. The one thing that they're very much family, and they love their freedom, they love their independence, and when they get here to America, they are some of the most amazing Republicans you will ever meet because they love America.
Family, church, and we'll sell you food and
Hmm.
fix your cars.
Exactly, and their coffee will
That's
knock
not
your
a
freaking
racist
socks off.
comment, right? That's not a racist comment at all. That's just,
No,
but
no,
yeah,
it's not.
yeah, let me fix your car. Let me fix you a sandwich. It's $17.
Here, have a cup of coffee that'll have you awake for a week.
Right, right. Very good stuff.
Yeah. No,
Oh, I
that's some
heard
strong ass
something.
coffee.
I know we're over time, but I heard something today. Somebody was bitching about, well, you wouldn't have Cuban cigars without, and the guy on the other line, Tony Katz. You can look him up,
Hmm.
Tony TonyKatz. But
Hmm.
his comment was, "That's hilarious. I run the largest podcast in America about cigar smoking, and there's nothing Cuba has been able to produce in the last 40 years that compares to nations like Nicaragua or Venezuela or even America, because they've lived under communism. They can't grow
Hmm.
tobacco. And why would the
Hmm.
tobacco rollers, the cigar makers, put any damn effort into it? They're there because they have to be there.
Hmm.
That's their communist job they were assigned.
Yep, it sucks the passion out of the craft because when you make something because you're told this is where you're going to be and this is where we're going to be till you die, you don't put your love and passion into the craft. You do it because you know it's going to be the thing that keeps you alive. But when you're in a situation where you go, hey, you can make it whatever flavor you want. You can do this. If you don't want to do this, you want to go off and do this thing instead, that's cool. We support you. When you're in an environment like that, you can step in and go, you know what, this would be cool. Let's try this, or let's do this, or you know what? What if we
And
do this thing?
the small rollers would become the big rollers all of a sudden because they're
Mhm.
producing great cigar products instead of
Exactly.
government cigar
Exactly.
products,
hmm
right?
Exactly. Exactly. Because you're giving the people that are actually passionate about it the opportunity to be passionate about it.
All right, Trade Mom. You can find her nowhere except on this podcast. We got to close this one out. We have gone over our time. Just a side note, Trad Mom, if you want to do, I don't know who's going to be able to figure out technology to show up. I have a awesome trivia space lined up for tomorrow for a podcast, and then I will get with you offline about future events. We got to close this one out.
Absolutely.
See y'all soon.
Have a beautiful night, everyone.